Hello, everybody. So I'd like to start, even though actually everyone isn't here, but you never know if they'll actually arrive or not. So I think we'll start. So settling into your seat. And allowing the body to feel comfortable as possible without feeling lethargic. Comfortable and lethargy are definitely not the same thing. So at ease in the body as much as possible. Mindful attention, bright, clear, here and now. And we'll begin with our exploration and practice of Upekkha, equanimity now. At this point in time, I think a good question we might ask is this. What do the Buddhist teachings have to offer us in times of stress and turbulence and uncertainty? I think it's a radical notion that when we cultivate an equanimous heart, an equanimous mind, our possibility is that even the most extreme external circumstances, and maybe also extreme internal circumstances, don't necessarily or for sure always throw us off balance. That is our possibility. With metta as our ground, we gradually move towards the teachings and the practice of upekkha, equanimity. Equanimity brings a clear seeing, acceptance, and a balance of mind, a balance of heart, allowing us to relate to all things that come and go within us and around us with greater ease and greater understanding. Some words from Shantideva. It's not possible to control all external events. But if I simply control my mind, what need is there to control other things? Now that's a radical notion. And it's really, in a sense, at the heart of our Buddhist practice. During the second half of the 8th century in China, there was a civil war that ushered in famine and disease that was so devastating that 2 out of 3 Chinese people died. How amazing, really. The population in this part of China shrunk by 2/3 in about 10 years. One of the great Chinese poets of that time who lived in this particular area of China wrote a poem called The View This Spring. And this poem contained just 2 lines. And this is the poem. The nation is destroyed. Mountains and rivers remain. Obviously, this poet was a Zen practitioner. It's a very Zen way of saying it. And it's wonderful. It's a wonderful teaching. Our practice offers us the opportunity to more and more clearly observe and recognize and look on with equanimity in relationship to our own body-mind process and in relationship to our world, to clearly see and know that things are always changing, always getting broken and mended and broken again and mended again. And yet there's also something that never breaks. So again, as our practice develops and deepens, we more and more clearly come to sense, see, and know that everything arises, everything passes away, coming and going all the time. And at the same time, we begin to sense, see, and know that in the moment of all of this, we could say things go nowhere at all. Things really go nowhere at all. We can grow into seeing and knowing all of this, not as 2 separate ways of seeing, but rather as one clear and seamless way. We could say one seamless field of vision, one seamless, expansive, open-hearted, open-minded field of vision, rooted in wisdom, rooted in understanding, rooted in our practice. And so we'll begin our practice. And as maybe all of you know, I know some of you know for sure, and maybe everybody in this group knows, the metta practice is done. It's one of the Brahma Viharas, one of the divine abidings, and it's done by the repetition of phrases, different phrases than we used for our metta practice. So I will offer 3 phrases. And I will ask you to choose one of them to use for your practice at this point. And I'll talk just a little bit about that after I offer the phrases. May I accept all things as they are. That's one phrase. And the next phrase. May I be undisturbed by the comings and goings of things, people, and events. And the third phrase, I am the owner, or I am the heir of my own kamma or karma, karma being Sanskrit, kamma being Pali. My happiness or suffering depends upon my actions, not upon my wishes for myself. I'll repeat each phrase with not as much time before I repeat the next phrase. May I accept all things as they are. May I be undisturbed by the comings and goings of things, people, and events. I am the heir, or you may prefer to say, I am the owner of my own kamma. My happiness or suffering depends upon my actions, not upon my wishes for myself. So, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, I ask that you choose one of these phrases. Any one of them is fine. The third phrase is the traditional classical equanimity practice phrase. The first two phrases are fine to use. They're easier to understand, we could say. So for now, pick the one that you most resonate with. Pick the one that works for you right now. And as we begin our practice session, our formal practice session, you could spend the first 5 or 10 minutes experimenting with the phrases to see which one is appropriate for you at this point. But don't keep switching around once you find a phrase that for now it feels appropriate for you. At some point, maybe this evening, well, probably not this evening, but tomorrow, or you may come to it on your own at some point this afternoon. I or Christina or each of us will ask you to move into practicing with the third phrase, which is the classical equanimity practice phrase. And the reason for that is that this phrase is really, truly the most far-reaching, the deepest, and the most insightful of the three phrases. And it can also be the most challenging of all the phrases. It does bring us closer, much closer to mindfulness-based insight practice. It does bring us much closer to vipassana practice. And so that's why we'll ask you to, at some point, move into practicing with that phrase. But don't feel obligated to do that right now. It's up to you. You need to kind of get used to this practice. We're switching, from lots of metta practice, slowly switching into lots of equanimity practice. So metta is our base, our root. So be kind to yourself in this process. So again, sitting comfortably, settling into your seat. Relaxing, body, heart, and mind. And bringing your mindful attention to your Anapana spot. In breath, out breath. As it breathes itself in and through this body. And just being with it. How is it? Touching, connecting. This amazing breath that all life on this planet is breathing, just as we are. And we'll begin the practice of the equanimity phrases with one phrase and directing the energy of equanimity through the words of the phrases to yourself. May I accept all things as they are. May I be undisturbed by the comings and goings of things, people, and events. I am the heir of my own karma. My happiness or suffering depends upon my actions, not upon my wishes for myself. So, choosing the phrase that most resonates with you right now. Let it choose you as well as you choosing it. Not debating about which one's right, which one's not right. Any one of them is perfect, just right now. And repeating it silently. Not getting caught up in analyzing it, thinking about it in some other way, right, wrong, good, bad, meaning, no meaning. Allowing it in with as much trust as you're able to muster right now. Faith in the practice, faith in yourself, trust and faith in the unfolding and blossoming of the equanimity practice. With this great open heart and open mind, rooted in metta, to just simply receive and see what happens with this practice. And now finishing for now this equanimity phrase that you're using for yourself. And bringing attention back to the breath at the Anapana spot, just for a few minutes. And now bringing to mind, to heart, a benefactor. You are welcome to use the same one you've used for your metta practice, but you're also very welcome to choose a new benefactor. We certainly all have had many benefactors in our life. And bringing this benefactor being up and into the heart mind with an image, if that's easy for you, or a felt sense, or an image and a felt sense. And directing the energy of Upekkha, equanimity, through the phrase, whichever phrase you choose to use, and I'll repeat them again. May you accept all things as they are. May you be undisturbed by the comings and goings of things, people, and events. You are the heir of your own karma. Your happiness or suffering depends upon your actions, not upon your wishes for yourself or my wishes for you. So, picking one of these phrases and sticking with it for this sit, for this practice period, in relationship to your benefactor being. May you accept all things as they are. May you be undisturbed by the comings and goings of things, people, and events. You are the heir of your own karma. Your happiness or suffering depends upon your actions, not upon your wishes for yourself or my wishes for you. And finishing with the phrase in relationship to equanimity for your benefactor. And letting them go, letting them be on their way, and bringing attention back to the breath at the Anapana spot. And closing the sit with a poem by William Stafford called The Way It Is. There's a thread you follow. It goes among things that change, but it doesn't change. People wonder about what you're pursuing. You have to explain about the thread. But it is hard for others to see. While you hold it, you can't get lost. Tragedies happen. People get hurt or die. You suffer and get old. Nothing you do can stop time's unfolding. You don't ever let go of the thread. So there's a nice bunch of time, a bunch of hours left for you to practice on your own time. I really encourage you to, with loving kindness, make the transition into the equanimity practice. And I also encourage you, as the time goes on now, these next few hours of practice, that at some point, if you aren't already using the third phrase, that you move into using the third phrase. It's a very powerful potential, this third phrase. And don't get caught up in trying to figure it out. Because what will happen is you'll get caught in doubt. And then you have to deal with doubt. So just trust that it's worthwhile and see what happens. Thank you.